So this is Baruch Saba of the Tikkun Elevator Kollel. And we're going to look over here today at the Parshas AKEIDA, which we found in the Sidur Rechovot Hanahar. Now this is also found other places. It's found in the Nekudas Kesef also. And this is from the Rashash. Now, what's talking about here is we call the AKEIDA. This is the binding of Yitzchak offering. But we have so many Pashtanim into this idea. But over here we come to the Sod. And so we had to see, well, what is in fact the Sod of this? What is the Sod of this? What's it all about? And it tells us just a quick anecdote that during the time of Saddam Hussein, this is back, 30 years, whatever it is, he's gone now. People used to say, we're shooting Scud rockets over into Jerusalem. They weren't so good like the Iranians have much better ones now. But people said, why don't the Kabbalists curse this guy? And of course, that's not what Kabbalists do. That's what witchcraft does. What Kabbalists are really looking at is the AKEIDA. We're looking at the fact that there is cruelty and difficulty in this world, and what we're looking to do is sweeten it. And there's a rule that says you can only sweeten the DINIM that you see, because we're at war now and people are being hurt. Much damage is taking place all over. I don't know where it's going to go. So we have to pray here for a certain amount of enlightenment to see what is actually going on. What do we need to pray for? So the idea is that you can only sweeten DINIM at their source. So that's what they call this. They call it DINIM, punishments, different kinds of contractions. They're very, very difficult. Israel is fighting for its life with a big, big bully. Now, we're going to look over here at the AKEIDA, but the AKEIDA is a funny thing. And so we're going to try to understand it. I'm not going to tell you that I'm really good at this. I thought I wanted to do this many times, but it was just too many different items here to understand. So, first thing that he says underneath the Parshas AKEIDA is to let us know that the movement of our prayers starts at the bottom, which is by the Karbanos. And for the Karbanos, which we're about to get into after this is the first carbon, the carbon of Yitzchak Avinu. So then after that, we're going to move into Pesuka de Zimra, which is a higher level of consciousness, and finally to the Shema, which they call Yotzer, and then into which is a higher level of consciousness, and the ultimate level of intimacy with Hashem that's possible is in Olam Atzilus, which is a Shemona Esrei. So he writes, Mikan va'ad Baruch she'amar. So from here to there, it's going to be, other Karbanos. Who ba'olam asiyah is in the lower of the four worlds, the world of this physical world. So I'm going to do as much of this as I can and try to make sense out of it. So he says, Yachsa la'akar as shnei ha'umos shelo yiktarenu aleinu. So let's see, so maybe I didn't read it. B'kol pam kashi omer parshas AKEIDA, every time that you come to say the parshas AKEIDA, you should have in mind to crush or to conquer, to suppress. Lahamtika dinim, and sweeten the dinim. V'hagavur should be yesod dezer anpin. Now, understand this is a metaphor. The gavurs of the yesod dezer anpin is the fountain from which all of the realities of the gavuros, the difficulties that there are in life, pour out. HaKodesh Baruch Hu Yachzol La'akod Es Sari Ha'umos. So we have to say that the Kavan is like this, that the Kodesh Baruch Hu is Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. Yachzor should bring back La'akod, to bind, as Sari Ha'umos. That is the channel. Sari means the princes of the Umos, meaning the spiritual roots of those Umos, of the nations. Shelo yaktargo aleinu, that they shouldn't be coming out and criticizing us like you see. This is what we want to try to sweeten. Criticism is a part of growth, but hate goes along with criticism, and that we bring on ourselves, I think, from what I've read. So this is a Medrash Rabbah, Parsha Vayera Siman Hey. Now, this is the first paragraph. I don't know if we can see it. It goes down to here. We'll go through it and try to see some of the things that he's doing. Now, I have to tell myself, every time I get in a situation like this, I want to start adding up the numbers because I don't know the numbers well. And they're in other places, and I need to get to a place where I can, just recognize offhand. But a lot of times that's not really what he's doing. He's not trying to do the gematrias. He's maybe trying to do the counts of the letters, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that, instead of the gematrias. Anyway, this is all about sweetening DINIM. And he starts like this. Elokeinu, he says this is Ima. And he shows you what Ima looks like. It's the name Sag, 63, divine name written out, Flag Ve'elokei, of Elokei, and he says what Elokei is in plural, Abba Vadas. So Abba is going to be, I guess he says, is going to be Av. So I switched it. He has it differently, and he says Ma and Av. So Das is Ma, and Av is Abba for Chochmah. So again, Elokeinu ve'Elokei Avosenu Zacharenu. He says, what's a Zacharenu? Zachar, the gematria, is these two names together, Av and Kasa. Now, oftentimes you see that Av is the Moach, and Kasa is Lavush that covers it. So he says Yud Ke Vav Ke, that's the Av, and the Yud Ke Vav Ke, which is the Kasa, which is the spelling out in Yudin of the name Akia, which I believe is like, say, a Moach and Lavush. The Zichron told Levanecha may it be good for a good memory, remembrance before you. Ufakdenu. So he says this word ufakdenu and visit upon us. He says it's the revua of Av, which is the gematria of Pakad. So he says upakdenu, which is the word Pakav. So what does he mean by that? The revua of Av. That means a revua is like Yud. Yud K, Vav K, but this is in the case of where it's spelled out Yud Vav Dalet, and like that, he says, comes out to the number 184. And he says, Rivua Av, which is Kapad, and then he shows it to us like this, Yud K, Vav K. Bipagudis Yeshua V'Rachamim. So he says, what does Bekudis mean here? He says, Hashpaos Hadas, that is, let from Das pour out Yeshua and Rachamim. Mishmei Kedem from the ancient days. Now, what is that? Kavana Zu. This Kavana, Mispara Nirmaz B'Tevis Shemi. It's similar to the word Shemi, which is 350. Shu Gematria. Kapad and Kasa, which is 345. Now, what we're getting out of this, I'm not sure, but I'm just reporting what I can see. He says a gematria 345. And then you take the 4 letters of the Pashut, of the Beshutim, which is AKEIDA Ima. Now, he's describing, it's the only thing I could say is like, as I'm always saying, like, how does he pull out these rules? Like, you take the 4 letters. He says, how does he pull this out? He says, because he sees what the emes is. I'm reading what he saw. So he says, Kappa Vakasa. You add on to that, it's the 4 letters of the Pashut, that is Ekia, which is 4 letters, the Ima. Beam Havaya the Abba together with 1 Havaya the Abba gets you up to the number 350, which is Shemi, Gematria Riuv Av Vakasa. It's the Gematria of the Revua of Av, Yud K, Vav K, and the name Akasa. And it comes to the Gematria. Then it says, wait a minute, be free to go back. Bekudas Yeshua's Rachamim Mishmeshme Kadim. Now the word Kadim. is the Yisodas, the Abba ve'Ima refers to the Yisodas of Abba and Ima. A little schar, then he says, remember, and he says, remember, is this gematria, it's once again, it's 233, let me see if I'm right about that. Schar is 227 plus 6, which is 233, but he's only looking at the 227 part. Okay, and it comes out to be 72 plus 161. Lanu, for us, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem, and he always shows you Hashem in the Shiluv, where he's showing the yichud of them. So he says of Hashem, which is Abba, Elokeinu, which is Ima, because we know the DINIM are called Elokims, and they are mevoer or mevarer, they are aroused in Ima. Abbas Hakadmonim Abraham, which is Chesed, the love of the ancient ones or the old ones, the right word, the elders, which are Abraham, which represents Chesed, Yitzchak, which represents Gevurah, and Yisrael, which represents Tiferes, which are your servants. Now, in this way, the servants, in what way? They are there in the world of spirituality to guide the flow of light. One on the right side, one on the left, and one in the middle. And also to the oath that you swore to Abraham Avinu, Bahar Hamaria, at the mountain of Hamaria. You sowed the Zeranpin, and what is the mountain of Hamaria? He says it's going to come in to the Yesod of Zeranpin, and remember, so the Zeranpin is Mashpia Chasadim and Gevuros into the look for the Zeranpin. Ves AKEIDA, also the binding. So he says, what is a binding? He says, binding means mituk adin, sweeten the dinim, sha'akar, that you bound. So then again, the same word of bounding, he says a binding means mituk. In other words, take something which is harsh and bind to it something which is nice. Mituk as Yitzchak, Shehu HaGevuros, which represents the Gevuros. Banu al Gabach, so he says, Hakeda She'akad is Yitzchak Beno, there we go, but his son. Al Gabach HaMizbeach, and Mizbeach is what? It's Malchus. Kachasu B'Sarasach, like it's written in your Torah. So this comes from the Mishnah's Chassidim and the Masechtas Asiya. So all of this, I'm not sure. Not sure what that is. Masechtas Asiya, I don't know what it is referring to. Now, that was the intro. Some idea that what we're talking about here is the basic thing that we need to be talking about in Kabbalah altogether. What the Ari wants us to see is that if you can picture and you can direct your prayer towards the location from which the dinim arouse, you can attempt verbally, here we are, to sweeten them. The world was created in 32 dinim. It's the 32 nisivas of Chachma, which are all mismayat the light. They're donning the light. They're changing the light. They're making it smaller. All of that is a din, but it could be done in a sweet way or a harsh way. And this is what we want to do: is take that din, which creates this, the din of creation, and make it straight and make it sweet. So he said, "V'yihi achad devarim v'eila v'elohim, whose shehem ha'gavuros should be yesod as their anpin." So once again, Elohim, their gavuros. Nisa, that his kasha, that he lifted him up. He said, Nisa means usually tested. To tie him to him, im Avraham, to tie him to that is im with Avraham, which represents the chasadim, kindnesses. V'yomer alav, and say to him, the yachtom imo v'lematkam al yedei Avraham, to take those dinim and to sweeten them through Avraham shehem chasadim, which represents chesed, the chasadim, the sum of the power of building up in kindness. And he says here, I am beli gavuros, but I'm here bare. I'm just the Avraham says I'm here. but I don't have any Gevuros with me. I'm pure Chesed. So he says, then take your son, the Gevura Shebaho, that is the Gevura of the lowest part of the left line. Hod is the left leg. Gevura there. Es Yechidecha, your one and only. Gevura Shebetiferes, that's another Gevura. Take that first Gevura that's in Hod, then take the Gevura that's in Eretz. Now there are 5 Gevuros, you should know. And the Gevuros are called Chesed, Gevura, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, but they're Gevuros, not Chesadim. And they're pictured in other places, which we will see them as Havayas, Yod-Kei Vav-Kes. At any rate, here's 2 of them. There's a Gevur Shebahod, Es Yechidecha, Gevur Shebetiferes, Asher Ahavta, here's a Lashon love, Gevur Shebenetzach, Es Yitzchak, that's Gevur the Chesadim, the Gevuros of the Chesadim, and the which are Chesed, and Gevura, Velech, and he said Lahamshik Od, and to go, or he said Lahamshik to pull, and furthermore, L'cha to you, Chesadim Ba'or Yakar, other Chesadim, that would come from the, or, I said Yakar, or Yashar, which would come from the straight line from a Kodesh Baruch Hu towards you. Let's see, there's a little bit, El Eretz, to the land, which is called Hamoria. What does Hamoria mean? Lashon Yira, to see. Eshuhu HaYesod Zer Anpin. The Yesod Zer Anpin contains all the treasures of creation. Lamatek Gimel Gevuros, in order to be able to sweeten 3 of those Gevuros, which are what? Tiferes, Netzach, Vahod. V'achar kach Ol Chozer, and then it goes back. I don't know what he means by go back. It's V'halechu L'or HaChesadim, and bring them up to the light of Chesadim. Ba'or Choser, bring them backwards towards the 2. So you do the 3 low. It sounds like you do the 3 lowest Gevuros. So let's see which is Yesod Zah, the Mata Gimel Gevuros of the Tiferes, Netzach, and Hod. Those are the 3 lower Gevuros. And you bring them down to there in the bottom, and then you turn them around, V'halechu L'or HaChesadim Ba'or Choser, and they go back and pick up the other 2 Sham, L'mala, La'ola, L'matek Gimel Gevuros, the Chesed and Gevura. Those are the 2 top Gevuros. Al Ach Echad HaHarim, where will it be? Apparently the word Harim, which means mountains, refers to Yesod. Al Echad HaHarim Asher Amo Alecha, on one of the mountains that I would say to you. V'yash came Avraham, so Avraham will get up, and Avraham is gematria of 248, and Chesed gematria Ches Pamim Kale, so 8 times Kale. Let me do it. Kale. Wait a minute. 1 second. I'm gonna. 248. It's a gematria of Abraham. I thought I was supposed to do that. Let's see. Where am I? This is also 248. So these, Avraham is these Kales Lashon Chesed. So he said, Baboker. What's Baboker? HaChesadim Shebapum Ama, that is Baboker, in the place, you're bringing it out to the Chesadim that are in the tip of the male or of the Yesod. V'yachavosh chamaro, and he had to saddle up his donkey. L'hachnia haklipos, so this refers to humbling down the klipos now. V'yikach shnei na'av, and he took 2 of these 2 young men with Ito. As Yitzchak beno, and also Yitzchak his son, v'yavake atze oilam, and you broke open they broke the wood for the fire. I guess they chopped it. V'yakom v'yelech el hamakom, and then they got up and they went to the place. So he says, what's the makom? The makom, he says, is Yesod. So Yesod is this particular case. As I'm not sure where we're going with this, is a gematria of 10 times 100, 5 times 20, 5 times 5. 6 times 36, 6 times Vav rather, and 5 times 5. It comes out a gematria of 186. Asher Amar Elokim, that Hashem said to him. So let's go back and let's look at it again. V'yavake atzam olam v'yakov v'yelech alamakom Elohim, which is the Yesod. So he says this place, Makom, let me see, is it Makom that I'm looking for? What is 186? 186 is 140, 186. So Makom is also 186. Now, just have to try to put this together. So he said, V'yelech el Makom. He went to the place, this place, which was composed of these letters. Asher Amalo Elokem, that Hashem, that is the name of Din, said to him. So he told him, B'yom ha'shlisha v'yisa Avraham es enav. He lifted up his eyes, v'yar es makom. So we're back to this word makom again. Merachok. He saw this lineup of letters like this. He saw it from a distance. Then he says, what is a distance? Rachok gematria shakai. He saw it from shakai is another word for Yesod. V'yomer Avraham el Naharav. So Avraham said to the young men, Shuvu lochem po, you stay here, im hachamor, with the donkeys. Chelkam, so the Rashash writes in there, that's their portion. Physicality, humrius. V'ani v'chanar nelcho ad ko v'nishtachave, and I and the child, the young man, will go onto it, ad ko, which is number 25. It says 5 hays. Nishtachave. So, and we will bow down for the purpose, l'hamshik ha'chasadim, to bring chasadim down. V'nashuv aleichem, and then we'll come back to you. V'yikach Avraham, and the Avraham took as atzeh ha'olah, the wood for the fire, for the offering. V'yasam al Yitzchak beno, and he put him on Yitzchak beno, v'yikachet v'yadach es ha'esh v'es ha'macheles. So he took the fire and the knife. It had to be probably a big one. V'yechel shnechem yachdav, and the two of them went together. So he says, what does it mean? Went together. Kolulim u'yachadim. They became one along the way. Now, there was something that I wanted to look up here. Abraham's are 248. It was about the Atzeh al-Olam. Okay, it's got to be behind me, and I'm going forward. So it says, V'yomer Yitzchak al Avraham. So then Yitzchak, which is Gevurah, said to Avraham, Avi, V'yomer Avi, and his father said, Halo atach chasadim levad. Excuse me, he said this to his father. He says, you are just chasadim. Vein b'chad tai rovos gevuros, and you have no gevuros mixed in with you at all. V'yomer hineni, here I am. Muchan lehiskalo im. So he says, I am muchan, I'm prepared lehiskalo im b'ni. Shehema Gevuras and the Matkum, that I am prepared to join all of my sweetness together with all these Gevuras in order to be able to sweeten the Gevuras, because in the end, this is the world of action. And the Gevuras will take place. So he says, well, we had the fire, we had the wood. So who's going to be the sacrifice, the ram for the Olam? So Avraham said to him, Elokim is Lashon Din. HaGevuros hasosmas hare'iyah, those Gevuros that are so strong, and this happens to everybody, that closes our eyes from being able to see what's actually going on. HaGevuros hasosros hare'iyah, halyona, that able to give us a higher level of consciousness, but hamtakosim, when they're sweet, and yiralo, the sakein avon hare'iyah, the Ada v'Hevel. They will come. Now, I had to read this through. He said, V'yomer Abraham Elokim HaGevuros, those Gevuros, he says, that close up the eyes from being able to see this higher consciousness. Yiralo, let that shine on him. Who's that? L'sakein Avonariya. He said, let it come now to become like a tikkun for the avon of Hariya that was created by Adam and Hevel. Haseh la'olabani. He said, Haseh, so that sacrifice, that lamb, la'olabani will be for a fire offering for my son. Roshe Tevos Hevel. Haseh, He, Lamed, Bes, Bet, switch them around, you have the word Hevel. So there's something here that I'm not really tuned into well. He says, "L'saken es ha're'iyah de adam v'hevel." What re'iyah that did they see? And I'm not sure that I know. I said, "La'ola b'nei rotze table is hevel v'yecher shnechem yachdav eshumayim." They went on together, the fire and the water, the saken avon, in order to repair the sin that was caused. Shall Adam v'Hevel shehitzitzu, that they peeked into an area which is called perhaps the Eitz Das Tov V'Ra. They looked into that. They come then to the place of Yesod. Makom goes on with Yesod again. That Hashem said to him, V'yiven shan Avraham es mazbeach. This place Abraham built a mizbeach. V'yarok es ha'etzim, and he arranged all of the wood. V'yakod as Yitzchak beno, he bound Yitzchak. Now, before we use the word binding, I thought he said the matek. So here it is again, the concept of binding yourself. Hamtik es a gevuros, that he sweetened the gevuros. And then he put him on the bebeach me'al chatzim. He said the bebeach is malchus. V'yishlach Avraham es yados, and Avraham then sent out his hand. V'yikach es ha'macheles ha'shchotet beno, and he took the knife to shecht his son. So he said, Lahotzi es adam. Why did he want to do that? He wanted to bring forth blood. Blood is the symbol, Hishuhu toika gevuras, which is red, which is the power of gevura, lamatkam, in order to be able to sweeten it. V'yikra avlav v'malach Hashem min hashemayim. So they set out from heaven. V'yomer Avraham, and Avraham is at 248. Avraham said, that is the chesed of the vada. Avraham chesadim kolula im gevuros. So is it Avraham is chesed. Avraham is also chesed gevura included with gevuros. V'yomer hineni, here I am. V'yomer al tishyak yadach ala Nahar. Don't send your hand against the boy. V'al taslo ma'uma. Now what does that mean? Mum, blushin mum. Mum's a gematria 96. There is something going on there which is a vayakeel. Don't know what it is. He doesn't say. Lo ma'uma mum ki al yadacha yismatek haden, that goes through him. Wait a minute, I got that wrong. I went real too fast. Mum is a gematria 86. 40 and 40 and 6, which is the pure word din. That's the gematria of Elokim. So he says, don't do any Elokim in the key al yadacha yismatku hadam, because through you, Avraham Avinu, you will sweeten the blood. Bli shetotzi, and without taking it out. Ki ata, because now, Yodati, I know ki yare Elokim, that you are fearing God. Shehem hagavura shenis yachdoch v'nis chavroch imacha, because now I can see that you're yare Elokim. He says, so what's yare? We usually say you're afraid. We usually translate as God fearing, but he says that shehem hagavuros, the yare Elokim, the gavura shenis yachdo, that you join together, this and you cause them to become joined to you. Ata shehem chesed, now you, that is, you chesed. Lo chasachta chesbedecha as yechidecha, you do not shecht your child, God forbid, many, in front of me. V'yisa Avraham es einav, so Avram lifted up his eyes. Now let's just look over here on the left side just for a second before we actually read a little explanation about it. Because once again, you see that I started to walk up trying to make sense out of this by doing the gematrias, and that's not what he's doing. What he's doing is he's just showing in the Pasha, the Male, this is a Male with Yudin, and the Male. So he's showing you a concept of 41 letters. So what does it mean? Visa Avraham, not a gematrias, but as the letters. Visa Avraham as Ena V'yar V'hine Ayel. So his ayel is what? It's the gematria of 41. The ayel is this. This is 41 letters. Yisod levush gevuros. So the yisod is actually a clothing over the gevuros. V'hu gematria mem aleph, and the yisod has a gematria of mem aleph osios. That is, how do you understand it? You understand it as these 41 letters. The pashut umale de male. It's the pashut umale umale de male de kas. That's what it comes out to be. And let's see, what does he say? He said, this is the levush. The whole levush looks like this, I guess. It's 41 letters, but looking at it not in its gematria, but looking at it as letters only. So he says, Mala de Kasev Acher. So he said, V'menu Acher ne'achaz b'svach. There's another ayil by the svach. Now he makes this svach here. He says this is 62. This is the number 82. Gimel gematria base pamem ma. It's 3 times that number we said before, which is 41. 41 oses the pasha, the mala, the kasa, the kamak, but not just from kasa, but also from kamak, which is in the middle line. So here's the AKEIDA, the kasa, the AKEIDA, the kamak, and you see that I should have known. I felt like I should have known what the gematria is, but I don't. That is of the male, the mala. Then he goes Bekarnov, so we're getting into the heck of a little bit of length here. So Abraham went, he took this isle, and he offered it up. Le'el zu, that's the isle that we had before, this is number 41. The isle zu, he says that is what? The mala, the shorsha to its roots. So that's what we need to do. We need to be able to take the chasadim of Abraham Abino and bring them up to their root. La'ola, as an elevation offering. The Yisod, the Ima, should go all the way up to the Yisod of Ilvid Shalo Yisach Socha Chitzonim Bo, because in the Ima, the Chitzonim don't have a part. Tachat Beno, Shechel Gevuras Epinimios Velo Chutzrak La'alhos the Yitzchok Shehem Gevuras Asma. They don't have to go all the way up there. Now I'm thinking, I'm going to stop here because it's gotten 33 minutes and there's going to be more on the other side, and we'll try to make a quick review. Not going to be that much more on the other side. Let's finish it. It'll just be a log share. What can I say? So it goes on like this. We got to the V'yikra Avraham Shema Makom. So he called this place, the place, this Makom that he's talking about, Ahu Hashem Yireh, Hashem will be seen. Gematria Gevura. Yireh is a Gematria 216, which is a Gematria of what we call the Rayo, which is a sweetened DINIM. Gematria Gevura Shehem HaGevuras HaMumutakos, sweetened DINIM. Asher Ya'omar HaYom Bahar Hashem Bahar Hashem Yiroah. That's a place that will be seen. V'yikro HaMalach Hashem El Avraham, and the Malach Hashem said to Avraham, Shenis Minam Shemayim, second time from heaven. V'yom bin Nishbati Ne'um Hashem, and he says, I certainly swear, I deeply swear, he said, Ne'um Hashem. Ki Ya'an Asher Asisa Chasedavar Chazed, since you did this thing, V'lo Hasachta Benecha As Yereda Yikdecha, that you didn't shecht your son, your one and only. Ki Varech Avarecha, V'harbe arbe. So he says, and I will certainly multiply a lot. And he says the word arbe is gematria Yitzchak. Its gematria turns out to be 208, which is gematria of Yitzchak, gematria de Daled Pamim Ben. And here he shows on this side the 4 bens. Ki kain gimel gevuros mismatkos begimel chasadim. There were 3 gevuros sweetened right away by chasadim. Harei sheish havayos shehem gematria ben. So we have what, 6 havayos with a gematria ben. Val ben hadalad in the fourth one, who mechabes gevuros shenishara belimituk is for the other 2. It is a representative of the other 2 that are going without mituk. There were 6 of them. Harisha'ata Haim Dalid Pamem Ben. So now we have 4 bens, which is gematria 208, which is Yitzchak. Dalid Pamem Ben, but Makom Hiusam He Havayos, in the place where we have actually 5 Havayos, Kamon Shahoyu Kodem Mitok, which we had before the Mitok, Shalo Nisarv and Nisarv Bechem Havayos the Chasadim, and that's the way that it was before. There were 5 strict DINIM. Now there are 4. It's actually 3 of the originals, which was the Netzach, Hod, and Tiferes, adding on Gevura, and the 5th one is still not mentioned or not shown because the last one refers to the last 2. That seems like what he said. So he says, as Za'aracha Kofer Shemayim, V'chachol Asher Sfas Hayam, V'yirish Za'aracha Ashar Ovav, because you listen to me. Now he's asking us to take all the niceness, all the kindness that we have in life and attach it to trouble. What happens? If the chasadim tend to lose their character because now become something new, something that's the middle line. And that's a hard thing to give up. V'yashev Avraham as Naharav, so he went back now to his young men. V'yakumba v'yechel yachtov, and they went out together. The mituk, where the din has now been sweetened. El Beersheva. Beersheva is another word for Malchus. V'yashev Avraham be'Beersheva, and Avraham, therefore, he dwelt at Beersheva. V'yitzchak shehu zachar shebegevuros, now Yitzchak, who is the male of the Gevuros, Nishar Lamata B'Yesod, he stayed down below. He didn't go, I'm not sure what he meant down below. V'Yitzchak Shehu Zachar Shebegevuros, stayed down below. The host is Lahotzi as Rivka Ishto, in order to be able to bring out his female counterpart, Shenoldo Oz, who was now born at the time of the AKEIDA. This is the female aspect of the Gevuros. Well, what does that mean? Because it must be, therefore, a male aspect, which is Yitzchak. So he, even as the Yitzchak represents the power of Gevura, but that's only the male part. There's a female part. Sheba Gevuros, so the Gevuros are Yotzim the Chutz the Yesod. So this, let me just read it up. As Yitzchak Ishto, Shenolda Oz, and what is this? This is another thing I'm not familiar with. So the Gevura sheyotzes chutz liyesod. This is the secret, the Gevuros that go out from the Yesod, shem daled pamim ben, which are actually those 4. There are 4 bens, which is the number 208, which is the gematria of Yitzchak. V'hem gematria Hagar. When they come out to the gematria of Hagar, which is 208. Once again, 208, gematria of Yitzchak. Lahachziram, the Abraham, to bring them back to Abraham. Shehu soda chasadim me'achashin is matko Abraham. Then this whole process is the concept of Abraham after everything has been sweetened. Ad kan b'sefer Halakutим, Parshat Vayera. Well, that's really it. I went a long way, longer than I usually do, but it's a long piece. It's a piece that really teaches us what we need to be able to do to be able to sweeten this war, to sweeten our lives, the fights in families, all different kinds of things to sweeten those things. They're all important, but they need to be sweetened. That's the idea.